Here's the recipe for the chocolate icebox cake. I would recommend toasting the pecans before you get started and letting them cool. It really brings out the flavor. As for preparation, it's nice to use a copper bowl for the egg whites if you have one. If you don't, you might want to add an eighth teaspoon of cream of tartar to help the egg whites get stiff. You want both the egg whites and the whipped cream to be very stiff for folding into the chocolate. For combining, most of that's explained in the video. I will say that the traditional recipe calls for liquid cream to be poured over the top, which is very nice, but you can use whipped cream or ice cream as well. All right, we'll go over the ingredients here. Here's our chocolate. 4 of these, or 4 ounces of this. I put some chips in as well, just to make it a little richer. This is some sifted powdered sugar, 1 tablespoon heaping, an egg yolk. These will both go in here, along with the vanilla. These are the crushed vanilla wafers. And in the copper bowl, I have 1 egg white, which will get whipped, and the whipped cream is still in the refrigerator, but that'll come out and get whipped as well and get folded into the chocolate. So I'll get started on all that. So I'll start by whipping the egg white and getting it in the refrigerator. It's got to be nice and stiff so when it gets folded into the chocolate it doesn't break down. So the egg white's been beaten until it holds a stiff peak, even a little more than that. That goes in the refrigerator for now. So here's a solid 1/2 cup of whipped cream or whipping cream. And actually the vanilla goes in there, a teaspoon of vanilla, and the powdered sugar. This has been chilled, the bowl's been chilled, and maybe you can see that, and beater's been chilled. And so we'll start whipping that. Whip it a little bit before I put the powdered sugar in. Put in some of that. All of it there. Okay, the cream's been whipped. I don't know if you can see, but it's so thick that it doesn't even peak anymore. It's not butter yet. And I do use the hand wire whipper instead of the electric one. You can see the difference in the width of the blade. Also, this one has got a curve in it. It's concave. This one is flat. Does a much better job of whipping cream as well as the egg whites. I don't know if you can see, but the chocolate still has the shape of the squares. You want to make sure you don't overheat it. But once you start stirring this, you have to work pretty fast. So once I get going, I'll be adding the pecans and the egg yolk and a dash of salt or a pinch of salt and a tablespoon of warm water, which you need to be careful about. All right, here we go. I got my water warmed up. Stir this a little bit. It all breaks down because it's warm enough. And we don't want to cook the egg yolk, so I'm going to put in the water a little bit at a time because it'll start to cause the chocolate to solidify. Now the bowl I'm going to put this in is a metal bowl, but it's been warmed so that the chocolate doesn't hit the cold metal and solidify. So I'm going to put a pinch of salt in there. Okay, the egg yolk. And the nuts. Okay, so this is my chocolate with nuts, the egg yolk. I'm going to put this in the metal bowl. Bigger bowl is what it is. Get as much of that out of there as I can get. Okay. So now we'll start adding the egg white and the whipped cream. I think I'll, and you got to work quickly here so the chocolate will fold well with the egg white and egg yolk. So you can see how stiff that is. I'll just give that a little turn before I put the cream in. And then it's the vanilla wafers, and pack it into the pan. Okay, so here we've got most of the egg white, or some of it at least, mixed in. We'll do the cream. Just gently, we don't want to break down the cream or the egg white too much. That's what gives it the body, along with the cookies, vanilla wafers. And I'll fold this until you don't see a lot of separate white, but it'll certainly bring the color of the chocolate to a lighter color. But it does solidify, which is what you want in the end. That's why you put it in the refrigerator. Chocolate icebox cake. Okay, so there's that, and now add the crushed vanilla wafers. You can see there's some powdery stuff, and then there's also chunks. And you just fold this together. I want to sort of get all of the vanilla wafers covered in the goop. Okay, so that's just about it. Looks pretty homogeneous. So I've lined this cake pan, the bottom that pops out. I'm going to press that down up against the sides and keep the wax paper from falling in. I pack it pretty tight. Get it up against the edges. When you take the bottom out, the wax paper just peels off the sides, and got it on the bottom for cutting. So that's how that goes. I have a cut disc of wax paper to put so it doesn't get dried out in the refrigerator. There you go.